We got lots of stuff to talk about this tonight. It's the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. A lot of fat bids, a lot of activity in leagues, a lot of guys to pick up. All coming up next. Happy Sunday evening, everybody. Welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. I am Scott Jenstad, joined as always on Sunday nights by Jeff Erickson. If you could please rate or review the podcast, we would really appreciate that. Helps people find us, helps all kinds of good stuff for us. If you listen to us and enjoy us, please give us a good rating. Some stars would be much appreciated. Jeff, we're in the middle of May. We got a lot going on. There's a lot of bidding going on, a lot of pitchers to pick up this week. We're going to get right into Fab pretty quick. We're going to actually go to Fab a little bit earlier than we normally do this time. There's a lot of guys I want to talk about, but how is everything with you?
We're good. It's Reds had a sweep. The Pacers are in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah.
It's a good weekend for the Erickson rooting interests.
It's a fun NBA Final Four when nobody's won the title since 1973, unless you count the Supersonics, which is 79. But
right.
And two of the four
they don't even count it, so they don't claim it. So we shouldn't have to.
I agree. So three of the four teams haven't won, and the Knicks haven't won in what is that, 52 years or something like that? 52 years. Yep. It's fun. There's gonna be a young superstar that's gonna win a title. It's gonna be really fun. So, you mentioned the Reds getting a sweep this week. How about the Twins? They did lose today, but they won 13 games in a row. They went from 13-20 to 26-20. Amazing what a nice little win streak can do for you. You know, you flip it from really struggling to right in the mix for the division here. Their pitching especially looking really good.
Yeah, it really is. They had like a 30-plus inning streak there, scoreless inning streak. It was fantastic. And they were playing so poorly before, but I don't know, man. They're missing so many parts right now. Lost Buxton.
I can't believe Buxton and Correa, who I have in multiple leagues, ran into each other on the same play.
That is Final Destination, MLB style. That's what it was.
So
I mean,
bad.
It was bound to happen, unfortunately. Yeah. And you know what? I feel bad for the players, especially, Buxton playing so well.
He's been really playing well, playing every day too. There's a lot of talk at the start of the year, like he's going to play 3 or 4 times a week to keep melting. He's been playing almost every day. He's got double-digit home runs. He's stealing a few bases. He's so good. I hope it's quick. It was weird because he was not on the concussion. He passed it and he was not going to go on. Then all of a sudden he went back on. So I hate concussions. It's so tough because you just don't know how long. You don't know how serious. Sometimes guys bounce back quickly. Sometimes it lingers for so long. They're terrible, especially in Minnesota where
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, they had the Justin Morrow one linger forever.
Even Mowers too, for that matter. Yeah.
That's true. So yeah, that was a rough one. But yeah, we talked a little about the AL Central last week. But man, this division's tough. This division's tough. There's only 6 teams in the AL with a winning percentage over 540. 4 of them are now in the Central with the Twins jumping in that group. You got the Yankees and Mariners in the East and West, and you got Detroit, Minnesota, Cleveland, Kansas City all in the Central. Again, take the White Sox out. The division's really, really fun.
It is, but that's the problem is you can't take the White Sox out. They're all beating up on the White Sox.
Yeah, that's true.
And they're taking turns on the Orioles too right now, which is just kind of crazy to watch. But Minnesota got 2 sweeps over the Orioles in that streak, so that was pretty helpful for them. I'm still frustrated with the Rocco Baldelli at times, but as you and I were texting and as I was interacting with Twins fans on Twitter, some of that, I got to be blaming Bailey Ober, not Rocco, all the time. It's just
you're 102 pitches and you walk a guy with 2 outs in the 5th. I can't blame the manager for that one as much as I'd like to.
Yeah, it's not like that was an isolated incident, though. Is my point.
Yeah, it's definitely true. But that one, I couldn't believe. It's Ober. People didn't watch. He was 4 2/3, had a lead, and then walked somebody for the 102nd pitch, and they took him out. And it was just, and then they went on to win.
And
the
I
game.
Get it.
Yeah,
and that bullpen's been on an epic streak. So it's a good bullpen, and it's on an epic streak. It works for them. It's just from a fantasy perspective, I just have to remember now. Okay, dial down that Baldelli win, that Ober win projection by 1 or 2, and that'll knock them down a peg on your rankings. I think you just got to go on eyes wide open a bit. Joe Ryan is a real man. He's been pitching very well. We got a good outing out of Pablo Lopez this weekend. He's rolling. It's nice to see all of that.
It is. You mentioned the Orioles, and the AL East is wild. The Yankees are playing well. Fun series with the Mets this weekend. They won tonight on Sunday Night Baseball. It was Bellinger with the grand slam in the I think it was the bottom of the 8th.
Just a shot,
moonshot. I thought it was going upper tank, and it only went 2 or 3 rows deep, and it was just so high, but it was like the major league, too high, too far. But I thought it was long gone, that it was barely went over. But they won. They won today, so they're playing well. But nobody else in the AL East is over 500, and you mentioned last week, you thought Baltimore was done. They lost all 6 games this week. They actually are done.
Yeah. When we were talking about who's the next manager to be fired, I mean,
Yeah.
it was kind of foreseeable. But and it just, the way they were losing too was just so comically bad. I mean, I get it. I don't think it was at all the manager's fault. Maybe there's some things he could have done differently. Maybe they would have, played a little bit better, but this all stems from the disastrous offseason. Yeah. I think you have to put the blame there first. And you might want to counter like who was actually available they could have signed. That might be the argument, but I mean, just the lack of effort it seemed like there, that they weren't in on anybody. And
I think you probably go even back to last year's disastrous trade deadline too, and kind of extend forward from there. But it felt like this weekend, like every time I turn on the game, the Nationals were up 8-0 on the Orioles before the game even started. It was a wild. They just got smoked.
Yeah, exactly. They're so inspired that they gave up like big runs each time. Even Zach Eflin, who had been pitching pretty well, he got bombed today.
Every time I just kept getting notifications about Nationals home runs this morning. It was crazy.
Yeah, there was a 20-mile-an-hour wind blowing out. At least that was projected before the game. So I actually stacked that game in DFS.
Oh, look at you! Did you win something?
I did, but I got kind of the wrong guys. But they all produced, but it could have been better. It could have been one of those where it's more epic than it was. So it made money, but it didn't make big money or anything. But that's fine. If I could do that every time, it'd be great. But yeah. I know there's the other times when I'm not going to be able to do that. So that's why it's just kind of, okay, it's fine. But I don't see a way to fix it now too. That's the real problem.
I was going to ask you, like, where do you go from here? You've got these like young up and coming guys, but like some of them have gotten traded. You've got kind of nobody pitching. I mean, I know you got Grayson Rodriguez, you got Bradish coming back at some point, but like they're so far off in pitching. And even the homegrown guys, Jackson Holliday is starting to come around, but Adley Rutschman's really struggling. Yeah. Gunnar Henderson's obviously a stud. Westberg's hurt, but like you look at their lineup and you're like, oh, it's not that great anymore. And then you look at the pitching and it's awful. It's just, I don't know where they go from here right now.
Yeah, I don't either. And I think that's really part of the problem. And that's why we're talking about last year's trade deadline. Yes, they got Eflin before the trade deadline. That was a good ad. And I don't think the price was all that punitive, although I think, usually you find out 2.5 years down the road with the Rays. Okay, yeah, they really did truly rip you off. But, at the same time, like the Trevor Rogers deal, I mean, that was first guessed by every single human on the planet. And Kyle Stowers alone is making that trade look bad.
I think we all thought it'd be Norby, and Stowers has 10 bombs.
Yeah, and that alone is pretty bad there. But the other thing too was it's just it's opportunity cost. They got the rental on Corbin Burns, and then they didn't follow it up with another big swing when they needed it. They had a window. That was their window. If you knew you weren't going to re-sign Burns, what are you doing then getting him in the first place? If you're not going to back it up by going for it. And I think the Cubs are suffering from the same issue here a little bit too. I mean, they're in first place still, thank there, but for the grace of the White Sox, go them. But thank you for them coming into town and, helping them block off the Cardinals for a while. But
we're also thankful to Pete Crow-Armstrong for outscoring the White Sox himself this weekend.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, they went out, they made the Kyle Tucker trade. Great. They gave away Cody Bellinger for a guy that's no longer on the roster, and Cody Petit. And that's it. That's the list. They were just trying to save money. And then Ryan Presley, which that half measure is already blown up in their face. Yeah. Which again, some people first guessed that one. It might have been an upgrade over what they thought they had, but the point is, there were better options out there. They should have gone hard after Kirby Yates. They didn't. They should have gone harder after Tanner Scott. They didn't. They didn't win either of those two guys. Knowing that you're already in on Kyle Tucker, they had a duty to go all in. None of this, didn't anybody learn from Breaking Bad? Half measures versus full measures. Come on, be all in.
Agreed. Someone in the chat asking if they think Tyler Soderstrom is a pumpkin or we can believe in him. He was always never going to be quite as good as he was early, but I do believe in Tyler Soderstrom. I do not think he's a pumpkin. He's going to play every day. He's hitting third. He's in a park that might be the best hitter's park in baseball by the time the summer gets going, and already is really good. 53% hard contact rate, 15% barrel rate still, strikeout rates in the low 20s. I think Soderstrom's a stud. A little bit of a slump right now, but stud. I would go. Do not do anything getting him off your team by then anyway.
And you're going to get outfield eligibility soon if you don't already. Yep. So there's that. I mean, yeah, he hit his 10th homer this week. It had been a drought before that. Yep. I get it. But, ebbs and flows in the season. I still think he's a possible 30-homer guy over the course of the season. You'll take that. And by the way, easily has outfield eligibility. 21 games there already this year. Didn't get that precious catcher eligibility unless you're in the Auto League that Peter and I are in together where we can use him at catcher. And my God, that's such a beautiful thing.
That is a beautiful thing right there. Yeah, no, the outfield eligibility is there. He kind of switched as soon as they called up Nick Kurtz. It's been about 3 weeks. Jeff, it was weird. I went to the Dodgers-A's game Tuesday night.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird walking to a stadium, seeing the A's uniforms, and not knowing who to root for. I was really confused and befuddled. I didn't really know how to handle myself. It was a strange night.
Yeah. Well, you root for the players, but you don't want the benefits accrue to the owner.
And I can't really go and root for the Dodgers. It was usually I go if I played somewhere else, I could root for the Dodgers, no problem. That's fine. It was weird. I didn't really know what to do. I just kind of cheered for Soderstrom and Ohtani and kind of had a good time. And my wife and I went. We just kind of hung out. But it was weird. The A's smoked him too. Jacob Wilson, 2 bombs and 4 hits. I think it was fun. He had a whole like cheering section because he's from LA. He went to high school here. His first game in Dodger Stadium, and it was fun to see.
Yeah, Jack Wilson's kid.
Yeah, it is Jack Wilson's kid. But let's move forward, look into next week and talk some fab. A lot of 7-gamers this week, Jeff. There's a lot of games this week. In the AL, we've got Boston, Baltimore, the aforementioned Orioles, Cleveland, Detroit, the A's, the Angels, and Houston. The National League, we have the Phillies, the Pirates, the Brewers, and the Rockies. Some interesting schedules this week. Boston, Baltimore, and Houston have all faced 7 right-handers, so they got full slates, and anybody on the left side of that platoon are going to be looking really good. They got a lot of right-handers coming into town. There are some monster schedules this week, though. The Phillies have 4 at Coors and 3 at Sacramento. I'm not sure you can get a better hitting schedule in all of baseball than that right there.
No, that is pretty good. Unless you're facing the Orioles might be the best thing out there, but
yeah, the pitching's so bad. But in terms of like ballparks to play in, like those, that's just so pretty.
It is. It's pretty sassy. The Sacramento thing, I don't think is fully vetted just yet. There have been some games that haven't really been monster hitting games so far, but I suspect, like you do, as it gets warmer, it's going to carry a lot more.
There was I think you and I talked about this day game last weekend where Langoliers hit one. And I thought it was a pop up to like kind of average center. And it went like
game. Yeah,
it went like 30 feet. It like hit like 20 feet up in center field. I was like, yeah, that's gonna be a place to hit. So we're talking about the A's. There's a couple questions to chat about Nick Kurtz. We talked about him when we were talking about Soderstrom's positional eligibility. What do you do with someone like this? Obviously, a lot of fab was spent on him. You spent a lot of fab on him yourself in the league. He's at 219 right now and 0-for-4 today, striking out a ton. I think we thought that would be the problem. I mean, he struck out 27% of the time before he got called up this year. Obviously, he's just a recent we don't have a long history on him. He was the 4th overall pick in 2024, but 37% strikeout rate right now. Definitely an issue, definitely a problem. I do think the A's are pretty committed to him. He's hitting way down the bottom of the order. He actually had his first home run of the game I was at. But are you staying the course on Nick Kurtz and playing him right now? I know you spent a lot of money on him, but obviously that's gone. What do you do kind of moving forward here?
Still using him. And honestly, I mean, it might change differently, but I mean, Christian Walker is one of the reasons why we went so heavily on him in the first place there. I have to put Walker at first and then Ryan McMahon at a corner. My corners are not controlled very well. Andy Behrens would be feeling great shame of me here because he's a big backer, total corner control. Yeah. But honestly, I've got Vientos. I've got lots of problems there. My team went 2 for 40 today. I'm not in a good place to talk about those hitters right now.
Isn't that the worst when you look up and you keep scrolling? You're like, where are all the hits? And you're like, oh, you get like halfway. You're like, oh, this is gonna be a bad line, and it gets no better. Those are the worst. The A's will get they get 7 games at home this week. They get to face Jose Soriano, Kyle Hendricks, Jack Kokanowitz, and Tyler Anderson for the Angels. So he gets 3 righties in the first half of the week. So that's a pretty clear play right there. Someone asked in the chat about JJ Bleday. I'd hold him for this week. I think the all Sacramento week. I want to see what happens here. And not only that, they get all Sacramento in 2 weeks also. So they go all Sacramento, then next week, I think, in road series, then 7 games at home the week after that. I think these 3 weeks right here, I'm holding all my A's. And after 3 weeks, we get to like start of June, first week of June. Then I'm going to decide on these guys. But
watch your A's, buddy.
I want the 2 of these next 3 weeks. I want as many guys as possible in that lineup.
I have Bleday on said 2 for 40 team too, and he sat against righties 2 of the last 4 days, and that's concerning. Yeah, and the thing is, it's all a spillover effect from them calling up Kurtz though too.
Yep,
someone's always got to sit Andujar's had to sit a little bit here too.
Andujar's hit really well, so he's playing a lot of third base. He just kind of moved guys. Luis Arias is hitting well. They just have some guys who are hitting, and it's kind of pushing some of the other dudes out.
Yep. So that's something to watch for a little bit there, but to see what happens with Bleday. But that would be an unfortunate development if this continues. Then I'd have to make a tough decision. But I'm not in a position where I can even bench him this week. Just because I'll tell you what, holding on to injured guys really takes a toll. Like I held on to Noelvi Marte for another week because they moved up his MRI by a week, but it takes it's a cost. I mean, it gives me one less, and I've got the 3 catcher problem with the UT being occupied. Brent Rooker did play the outfield today, so that's one more game that we get there, but still not anywhere close to 10 yet. I think we're at 6, if I'm not mistaken.
That sounds about right. I'm looking right now, but that sounds about right.
Yeah, and yeah, especially
today was 6, by the way. You're right.
Yeah, NFBC formats where you don't have IL spots, that lack of flexibility gets you. It really gets you. And you get these, Edwards was day-to-day going in the weekend. There was a chance Alvarez could get activated over the weekend. Neither played a lick. And so you're just, eating the spot, and it's tough.
Yeah, agreed there. Some other nice schedules real quick. The Red Sox have 7 at home this week. 4 of those are against the Orioles. You mentioned that's the great matchup. So really nice setup for Boston this week. So they get the three Mets, then 4 Orioles. The Brewers have a good setup. 3 Baltimore, 4 at Pittsburgh. Facing good pitching there. Again, we're picking on the Orioles, but the pitching is so bad. Angels off a sweep of the Dodgers in Dodger Stadium, Jeff. Crazy weekend. It's just wild. And every time I looked up, Angels are playing really well this weekend. They have 4 in Sacramento, and then 3 home against Miami. Really good week for Angels Angels hitters.
And you know what? This is kind of turning things on its head, and this is why you can't just look at season-long numbers when you're looking at teams. You have to pay attention to the current there to see if something changed in the lineup. Are they just hitting better? Like for a long time, a great DFS play was lefties against the Angels. Really anybody against the Angels, but especially lefties. There is a Andrew Heaney start in Anaheim earlier this year, which was just a thing of beauty. It was low owned and he dominated. It's also, if you're doing wagering, K props, things of that nature, obviously you kind of look into that a little bit more, but that's why our buddy John Legeza does rolling averages and not just season long. You really have to pay attention to what's happening now. And it's hard to pay close attention to that. There's so much going on in baseball.
And so much going on in life and sports and all that kind of stuff.
That too.
You and I joked about the Angels last week. We're like, oh my gosh, they have 3 in San Diego, 3 in LA. Good luck this week. They went 4-2 this week. Really impressive. They scored 23 runs on 3 games against the Dodgers, 6, and 11. Like they raked this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, and they got to some bullpens. The Padres bullpen had some epic meltdowns against them, and that continued into the Seattle series. Yeah. Bad week.
Was that the Suarez 4-walk game? Was that one?
Yeah, that was Monday night, I think. Yeah. And wow, that was tough to watch.
Yeah, it was rough, but Angels are playing well. It was fun to see. It's good to see. That's a franchise that has had a lot of bad stuff the last few years. So it's good to see them sweeping in LA. Probably the highlight of that year, but it's a pretty good highlight for Angels fans. Like they're going to love that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But Rockies are home all week. We mentioned who they play against, but they're home for 7, 4 against Philly, 3 against the Yankees. So obviously a good Coors week as well. So we got a full Coors week and a full Sacramento week. Hopefully a lot of offense this week. And it's getting warm out here in California. It's been raining the last couple of days, but it's supposed to be really hot this week.
Yeah, so. It is. Before we go on to news and notes, Scott, let's take a 3-second break for a note from the Blue Wire Network. All right, Beautiful. You may proceed.
Beautiful. Yeah, real quick, some news and notes before we get to Fab. The biggest news today, out of nowhere, Jose Alvarado, 80-game PED suspension.
Yeah.
Obviously, fantasy-wise is big because he was one of the guys getting saves. Although Jordan Romano had a couple saves this week, but Romano seems to be the guy. Maybe get some Matt Strahm in there based on matchups, but obviously really bad if you own Alvarado. He's a full drop right now, but it seems like Jordan Romano slides back into this job pretty easily.
Yeah, his overall numbers really suck for him. 6 runs against the Marlins.
Good lately.
Yeah, but very good the last 2 weeks. Well, I still am a little trepidatious about him, but
I think we both are from last year too. We're probably a little scarred, but struck out the side today.
Yeah, and this is just the latest in good outings from him. Strahm would be someone I wouldn't mind rostering too, because I do think that it's just a feature, not a bug, that other people get saves.
Yeah, they will mix and match. My guess would be it's Romano for majority, but you get some Strahm, maybe some Kerkering in there. But I think if you get they'll match it up. If you get Strahm against some lefties in the ninth, that'll happen too. So I think Strahm's a nice cheap ad as well too.
Yeah.
A lot of guys went on the IL this weekend. Real quick, obviously the biggest one was Cole Ragans, 15-day IL with some groin tightness. Doesn't seem like it's too serious, but still missing a couple weeks there. His teammate Seth Lugo also on the IL. Tough weekend in Kansas City for IL stints. Middle finger inflammation for Seth Lugo. You mentioned Xavier Edwards earlier, 10-day IL with a mid-back strain. That's a tough one because that's someone that you have for stolen bases, and every time he's out, you're just not getting the stolen bases.
Exactly. It is a killer for us. Losing him in conjunction with Alvarez too. Just you lose power and you lose speed, and okay, we got to get one of the two. And
right,
our hitting's really hurting right now too.
Yeah, when we don't have your number one pick in Alvarez, it's just so hard to overcome that.
Yep.
Interesting. Two guys who you made it like 3 days before they got hurt. Evan Carter and Tyler O'Neill. To no one's surprise, both went on the IL this weekend. Carter with a right quad strain, which turned out to be worse than they thought it was, so he went on the IL. And then Tyler O'Neill has some left shoulder impingement. I just dropped both guys. I just figured it wasn't. If I can try and pick them back up, but I don't think it's worth holding either one of those guys right now.
No, I mean, they were both just picked back up recently. Yeah,
yep, I had both of them last weekend, and they were just. I thought I was being sneaky with Evan Carter when they DFA'd Leote, and I was like, it was like a Sunday afternoon too, and obviously it did not work. Someone in the chat asked our thoughts on Spencer Strider coming back this week. My thought would be start him no matter what. He's pitching on Tuesday at Washington, set for a 2-start week against San Diego. But I'm just starting Strider no matter what. I think that they probably needs to ramp up a little bit, but I want even if it's 4 innings and then 5, then I want those innings.
Yep. Did they announce who's getting bounced from the rotation?
I have not. The RotoWire grid has it Bryce Elder, but I have not seen for sure if they.
I haven't seen that either. Yeah. Maybe I'm wish casting here, but Smith Shawver has been great.
They can't move him out, right? Like he's been awesome.
Yeah, I mean 3 good outings in a row. I have 4 good. Even the one in Colorado, 2 runs in Colorado, 2 runs in Steinbrenner Field. I'll take all of those.
So I just looked up the official game notes they gave out to the media today. The Braves did, and it's TBA Tuesday, which is going to be Strider, and then Smith Shawver Wednesday and Sale Thursday. So he's officially starting. Smith Shawver is officially starting this week for sure.
Yep. And I don't see Elder listed, so that's
good sneaky reference, people. If you can find that, you can just search the official game notes on MLB.com. It's actually the ones they give to the media. There's often really good upcoming starting pitching info in there.
Yes, absolutely. We use that all the time for our grid.
And obviously use the grid because that's for the best part. But if you need a little deeper and you want to do it yourself, it's the game notes are really good too. You mentioned Yordan Alvarez improving, but he still feels the muscle strain, so a little bit. So I don't know if that was really a setback or more of a kind of a minor little pushback more than anything.
I don't know, and it's just them saying like, okay, and even the quote was like, if there's anything, we just want to make sure he's 100%. Just take it super seriously. But I don't know.
It's your best player. It's maddening. But speaking of the Astros, Hayden Wesneski, just a note here, he is having Tommy John surgery. I think we talked about him last week as probably a drop, but unfortunately he's going to be out for quite a while there. Chandler Simpson, who had a really good week, hit 450 this week for the Rays. He's missed Sunday with a sore hand. It was originally like a cut, and then it turned to a sore hand. So definitely check that one. The Rays do play. Do they play tomorrow? Yeah, no, they don't. They do play tomorrow. They're playing Houston tomorrow, so we should have some info there. A couple other quick notes. Brandon Woodruff. He was on the rehab, then he tweaked something starting Wednesday, so he's back on his rehab. And George Kirby, also good news there. He went 64 pitches in rehab assignment on Saturday. He said he's ready. I haven't seen an official announcement if they're going to pitch him next time through, but he said he's good to go. If he lined up, he would go Thursday at Houston. So probably a tough call. Look for some quotes, but you might be able to get Kirby back in the lineup this week.
Yeah. 2 relievers I want to talk about real quick. Yep. Justin Martinez. They're saying he's on rehab. He's nearing return. Could return as early as Tuesday. Sight unseen. I mean, you kind of have to go sight unseen on this guy. Do you start him?
Let's see. They've 3 at the Dodgers, 3 at the Cardinals, so they're not going to win any of those first 3 games. The Dodgers are going to be pissed. The stuff I saw said maybe this series, maybe the next series. I think that I'm pushing him 1 week.
Yeah, I could see that.
But it's a night game tomorrow night, West Coast. So maybe get a quote that says we're gonna rehab him. I think, or we're gonna start him back up. I think I wait for that quote, but my guess would be I'm probably sitting him 1 more week.
That's fair. And then the other one we got to bring up is Texas, because I think that's really fluid right now. Yeah, Luke Jackson pitched today, and that's good. But he had we'll see if how he comes out of that there. And Chris Martin had a setback. Sean Armstrong got a save.
Martin's shoulder was messed up, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I think it is too. And then Sean Armstrong isn't that good of a pitcher. Yeah. He did get a save earlier this week, but I kind of was like, I don't really want to pick him up.
I looked into that. I'm like, oh, who's this guy? And I looked him up. I'm like, nope, not picking him up. He's 34, not very good numbers. A lot of walks already this year. I kind of I kind of moved away from that pretty quickly, especially when Jackson pitched today.
Yep.
Let's see. Let's jump into Fab. There's a lot of guys to pick up this week. I'm going to start with starting pitchers. There was a lot of names this week. Starting at the top, Ryan Weathers was back. He was available in a lot of leagues because when we drafted the main event, it was late in the season. He'd already gotten hurt. So he was available in a lot of leagues. He was actually available in more main events than 12-teamers because 12-teamers, a lot of people drafted early, and he kind of got picked up a couple weeks ago if he was there. But he looked good in his first start back. I think that the big question with Weathers is if he can stay healthy with this newfound velocity. And he showed early on he can't. But I think he's going to be good until he's not. And I actually bid on him. I got him for kind of in the mid 100s in the league where I need some pitching. How do you feel about Ryan Weathers here as we go forward?
I feel like I wish I could bid on him. He just wasn't available for me in any of my leagues.
Oh, he wasn't available.
No, I'm double checking. Not in my main. He must have been drafted and kept the whole time. He was available in my online championship last week because he must have been drafted and dropped.
Yeah,
I didn't bid enough, or I don't remember what my bid was. Shame on me. Should have been all over that there. That would have been a good one to have. Didn't get him there. Didn't get him anywhere.
He was very popular. He was added in 36 main. So yeah, it was about 20 he was already taken. I think he was like he was 37% rostered. But in those leagues, he went there was one bid over 300, but a lot of bids in the 200s, a lot of bids. He didn't go for under 128 in any league. I got him for 153 is actually the second lowest win. So I actually cut a break there. Yeah, I cut a break on that one. I'm really worried he's gonna get hurt. I mean, I just don't know if he can pitch at this velocity and stay upright, but I do think he will be good until said injury happens.
I think this is an ideal bid though, because it's either he's good or he's hurt.
Yeah.
I don't really worry about the performance. I think he should be good.
Yeah, I mean, we say that now. Of course, any pitcher can get smoked, but I do think he looked good last year. I mean, last year he was 3.63, 1.18, like a pretty good line last year, especially when you're picking up on waivers. The strikeout rate was not huge last year; it's about 22%. Is up a little bit this year. Obviously, he's only made one start, but the newfound velocity, hopefully, you get some more strikeouts. But he's 11% swing strike rate last year. Like he was a pretty good pitcher last year when he pitched. He was,
and it's all over the place there. So yeah. By the way, did we mention Jared Jones? Someone I think James Hall mentioned it in the chat, but he's having Tommy John. He's out for the year, so another blow for the Pirates there. One less guy, maybe, and yet do we see Bubba Chandler anywhere? Nope, still don't see him up. But anyways,
I know we're mid-May. Like I mean, the Pirates they got to do it at some point, right?
Yep. They do, but they're the Pirates. They do things their own way. Sense of urgency, Bob Nutting said, but doesn't call up Bubba Chandler.
It's why stashes are hard. Like you just never know when these guys will get picked up. Even the studs, you just never know. I don't know. I feel like the Pirates are like every 5 days it's Skeens Day and they're fun to watch, and the rest of the time it's kind of hard pass.
It is.
Yeah. So Weathers was very popular, added in a lot of leagues. I think that, like we said, the performance we hope is there. And we hope he can stay healthy. That's going to be the toughest part of it. But he had a lot of triple-digit bids. There was nobody in the double digits with him. Next up is Hayden Birdsong. He was not available in many main events, but a lot of 12-teamers available in like half the 12-teamers. Giants announced this weekend that Jordan Hicks getting sent to the bullpen. Hayden Birdsong was good. Birdsong to be Harrison. They're keeping Harrison in the pen for right now. Birdsong is going to start on Tuesday, I believe, whatever the second game of the week got. Tuesday against Kansas City. Obviously, this is someone that we liked in the preseason. I think you still rostered him. You still have him?
Yeah, I've had him the whole time.
Nice.
Drafted him like the 20th round, and actually used him in a week or two. But
that's a good hold right now. I mean, it's only mid-May, and you got a guy that you probably start every week.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, like, I benched him the last 2 weeks because of the matchups. And if you look at what he's done in those matchups, Arizona got to him, the Cubs got to him, but they're Arizona and the Cubs. They're the reason why he was on my bench. The problem is this week. I mean, it's also, I think does he avoid I'm looking at the wrong schedule. I was looking at Arizona's schedule.
He's home against Kansas City.
Yeah, he gets KC this week, and then he gets at Detroit and at Miami the following week. So
how many innings do you think he can get to in this start?
It's going to be either 4.2 and piss us off, or he'll get to 5.1. Yeah. It's going to be somewhere in that range. It's going to be very tight. It'll be tough. I mean, if the Giants hire Rocco, we're screwed. But
if they hire, they bring Dusty Baker back for like a little cameo, you can be really set.
Yeah.
I'm looking to see. I know he pitched 3 innings against Arizona. I'm curious how many pitches he threw. He threw 65 pitches in that game. So
yeah,
you can get to 75, 80, right?
Yeah, he's a marginal start this week. I think they'll build him up. They'll stretch him out and eventually get there. We'll see how efficient he is. And obviously, Detroit is not the Detroit we think of. They're a far better offense than people realize. But the ballpark's still the ballpark. I'll throw him the next week for sure, because then you also get at Miami, and no offense to Miami, but that's a good start. Gotta use it. So I'll be using him.
You're using him this week though too, right?
Probably.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go on the record as committing to that. I'm just gonna say probably.
Yeah, I think you got home. He might not get 5, but you've been holding this long. And you've always got the weird chance that he pitches twice, too. He pitches Tuesday, they have an off day. Like, if something happens to somebody else, he can always get the Sunday start. Happened with Brian Bayo today, but luckily I did not have him in because Brian Bayo got smoked today. I would have thrown him if he had 2 starts, and he was only scheduled for 1, but they kind of had to switch around. And it's sometimes those really work really badly, and some else want to get lucky on those.
Yeah. So the thing about Birdsong is he does have a high walk rate. It was pointed out in the live stream chat.
The strikeouts are very real though, and have been very real throughout his minor league history.
Yeah, 9.9% walk rate, which is down from last year at 13.7.
Yeah, he's a huge walk guy, but man, the strikeouts are really nice.
Yes. So we'll see. I wish he'd generate a few more ground balls. Ground balls aren't the be all end all, but he's got a pretty high fly ball rate. So that's the other thing to kind of watch out for.
He was pretty good with that in the minors, at least. Hopefully that regulates him. He was like 40% in the minors. I guess 40% in the majors last year when he pitched. So he's only 31.5% this year, but maybe that comes back.
Yep.
I liked him a lot. He was not available I don't think he's available anywhere for me, weirdly enough. Maybe an online championship. That's it. Both my events he was taken. Another guy that we'll talk about real quick that was taken in almost every main event, but available in a ton of 12-teamers is Zebby Matthews, who, we've kind of been jonesing for him to get called up. Did get called up, did not pitch well today. So it was not, if you're looking for that, a good start going into his fab period, it was not good. 3 innings, 4 earned runs. They lost the Brewers the first time the Twins have lost in 2 weeks. How do you feel about Matthews going forward? Were you bidding on him in your 12-teamers?
I don't think he was available again.
Everybody's drafting and holding your league. It's crazy. He was only 13% rostered in the 12-teamers.
Yeah, I don't see him listed anywhere, but maybe he was not drafted.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, he was not available. He wasn't drafted. He wasn't available because he didn't pitch till today.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So I don't think. Yeah. So we'll bid on him next week.
Yep.
Job security isn't certain. First of all, they took their sweet ass time calling him up.
I love this arm though. Strikeouts and low walk rate. I love his profile.
Yep. And Festa is a little banged up down at AAA too. So it's not like, that's imminent.
Yeah.
Woods Richardson is probably going to need a while down in the minors before they look at him again, but Paddock's actually pitching well. So as much as I'd like to use him as like a punchline, Chris Paddock's pitched pretty well lately. So
so just to give you an idea, Zebby was only available for bidding in 1 main event, and he went for $205 in that main event.
Yeah, and he gets Kansas City, and then he gets at Seattle in his next 2 starts.
And I'm looking in the online championship is available to be bid in 11 leagues. He went anywhere between 145 and 5. So you got all the online championships. You always get some crazy stuff.
12s are weird. We say it all the time, and it's so true.
Interesting enough that the main event ad, the guy who added Zebby Matthews, his drop was Roki Sasaki in that league. I think someone asked me about that earlier today. I think Roki Saki's a drop right now. I think I dropped him in 12 and 15 teamers.
Fred and I were talking about that on Tuesday. I agree.
The unending, it was like, I forget what Robert's quote was, but essentially we have no timeline for him. We're not going to put one on him because it's not fair to him. And I'm like, I don't think I want any part of that. And not only that, he was horrible when he pitched. So it's like, if I'm waiting on someone, I want it to be someone that I feel pretty good is going to pitch well when he comes back to.
Yeah. It's funny, by the way, you're talking about drops. My 12, Birdsong was actually dropped.
Oh, wow.
12s are weird.
12s are weird. Yeah.
The manager picked up Jordan Romano, so maybe his roster is so good that he doesn't. Do it. No?
Or needs saves and has deep starting pitching. There's every roster is a little bit different. We always get sometimes spots like I had a league where I couldn't find a pitcher to drop, and I wanted to place some bids on Weathers and some other guys. And somebody just doesn't fit. It can be frustrating, but it's a good sign if you don't have any pitchers drop. It's usually a good sign. But
yep.
So we get to the real veteran stud of the hour, Clayton Kershaw. Jeff, he's back. We talked about last week a little bit. He made his last rehab start last weekend. He pitched this week. Did not pitch well in his debut against the Angels. But Clayton Kershaw was available. I think he was 0% rostered in main event, so he's available in every main event. He was picked up in all. I think he's 57 mains, so he was picked up in all 57 mains. Range was 225 to I'll give you one guess. Your friend Delton Deldon. No surprise there. He loves his high bids. He loves his pitchers.
I think he loves his Kershaw too.
He loves his Kershaw, and down to our friend Rob Silver, who got him for the lowest price at 21. So it was a big range on Kershaw.
Yeah,
the bulk of the bids was kind of like 45 to 65, right in there, which I think is a fair price. I got him in one league for 37. I'm not totally convinced what we're going to see here. The fastball was not good. He got no swinging strikes on his fastball in that start, but the breaking stuff was actually pretty good. He got some swings and misses on those. I kind of just think that he's going to be able to get kind of crafty his way through some starts and through 5 innings and get out of there and get some wins on the Dodgers. But I'm not totally sure when to get, but I thought it was worth kind of a mid double-digit bid this week.
Yeah, I think so. I did not get him. He went for 80. Kershaw went for 84 in my main. In Scarf, the musical, he went for 77. That's a LA based team in the
Figured that was going to be high.
Yeah. So not a surprise there, but I was more in the $37 range, which I was bidding, and that wasn't enough to get him.
Our buddy Steve-O Swerve, who drafts in Vegas, grabbed him in 2 leagues for 123 each, so he's high on him. Mm-hmm. Someone called No Bunt Intended, I don't know who that is, got him in 3 different leagues for $130 each. So,
okay,
it's one of those things. I think he'll get some good starts. I think the blow up part of it's gonna be tough. I think there's gonna be some starts where he doesn't have it. He's gonna get smoked pretty good.
I think the length is also a problem.
Yeah, I think 5 is probably as much we get for at least for the next month or so here.
Yep.
Yeah. Some other names, a guy who was taken in a lot of main events but available to 12 teamers is Logan Henderson. He's pitching twice this week for the Brewers. Good prospect, has looked good so far. Faces Baltimore and Pittsburgh this week. Really nice setup on paper. I was in on Henderson too. I got outbid, but I was definitely someone that I would have liked to get in my online championship leagues.
Yep. And I got him in a NL only home league back when he got this first call up there. Because remember, he got called up like 3 days before he made the start, so he was eligible.
Yeah,
in our league there. But and I think that's kind of the thing is know your league rules. Just because he hadn't pitched doesn't mean he was ineligible. It just meant as long as he's on an active major league roster, you could pick a guy up there. So got him for pretty cheap. It's not victory yet, but he was the most added guy in the RotoWire Online Championship this week. He was added in 183 leagues. Max of 171. Most bids were in the 60 to 70 range. So in a 12-teamer, that's a pretty good bid. There was a lot of 50s, a lot of 60s, a lot of 70s. There was a few random low ones, but that was a popular bid, and he's someone I think just might be really good too. Yeah, the Brewers are super fluid right now. Savali's coming back soon. You mentioned Woodruff. Quintana got cleared to start throwing again. Patrick's actually been okay. Priester exists. I don't have much more to say about him, but they also have prospects. They also have Mizuraki, whose prospect star has dimmed quite a bit, though. I don't really think he's a big threat anymore, but they have a lot of names, a lot of uncertain slots. Henderson could be their second best pitcher right now. Or he could be sent down to the minors next week. We'll see. But
his K- walk in the minors last year was 28%.
Wow, I'm in love.
32.8% strikeout rate, 4.7% walk rate, and 81 minor league innings last year. That is a nasty, nasty line.
Yep.
Yeah. So I was definitely in there. I got outbid, unfortunately, but I think that was probably he was very not very available in the main event, which is usually we're talking about a little bit, but. He was definitely added in the other. I'm looking at the in the main event here, see what his prices were. He was like I said, he wasn't available in very many. He went for between 82 and 160. So yeah, the bidding was pretty high on him. A guy we couldn't bid on, at least in NFBC, but obviously we play a lot of different leagues, a lot of players out there. Mick Abel for the Phillies today looked nasty. He pitched really, really well today. I think he had like 8 or 9 strikeouts through his 6 shutout innings. This is someone that obviously we'll watch him next week. He pitches. He's starting. Oh, he's not starting next week because they got to bring me back, huh?
That was
is that right.
That's we'll see if that happens with Nola, if Nola comes back.
That's right.
Yeah. But remember, they also were kind of like, okay, They also had Taijuan Walker, who could be
they
back
got
in rotation. I
Walker's,
think Abel was
Walker's,
on schedule, and Walker was not. So I think they went that route. I'm just kind of disappointed that the Pirates didn't bring up Lorenzo Cain just for that start against Abel.
Oh, Jeff. You've been waiting 40 minutes for that joke?
All my life, dude.
There was Matt Gelb, who's the Phillies beat writer for The Athletic, said before the start, it was just for one spot start. But obviously he was so good, they got to be tempted to throw him back out there. I mean, 6 innings, 5 hits, 9 strikeouts, no walks. Like, how do you send that right back down?
I agree. But then again, you talked about the ballparks they're playing in coming up next. Colorado, he'd miss Coors Field because he pitched today. But Sacramento, we'll see. I mean, missing out on Sacramento might not be such a bad thing.
Fantasy wise, yeah, but if you're the Phillies, like that's a tough one to throw back.
Yeah, it is.
But other starters, there were some other names in here. It was a big starting pitcher week. Noah Cameron for the Royals is getting some starts. Slade Ciccone is getting some run for the Guardians. He was a former Diamondback pitcher. You and I talked about Hunter Dobbins last week, someone we liked that he was still like 23% available in the main event. JT Ginn, who we talked about a few weeks ago, they went the IL. Now he's back for the A's. 2 starts this week, Jeff, but they're both in Sacramento against the Angels and Phillies. I was kind of in on that until I looked at that. I'm like, I got a little scared. I have to admit, I pulled back my bids after seeing the schedule this week.
Yeah. So I got Cameron in AL Tout Wars, and I got Ciccone in Scarf.
Nice.
And I'll credit you when you put him. I just looked at him real quick, remembered his Arizona numbers, saw the 5.40 ERA, and I just moved on. When you put him on the outline, okay, I'll dig in a little bit. Oh, 8 Ks. Oh, he actually was fine through 5, and then his 2 inherited runners scored against the Reds.
He looked good in that start too. I watched him. Yeah. He passed the eye test too, which was nice.
Yeah, so I did have some bids on Ciccone because of that.
Yeah, and I usually like what Cleveland does with pitchers as opposed to other teams. So I think there's a little bit of intrigue there. I mean, it's a streamer. It's a 1 week and see how it goes. You might have to drop him back, but I thought he was someone that was worth maybe a $15, $20, $30 bid, that sort of thing.
Yeah. And a quick comment here. And a lot of times we're talking about 15-team leagues. All these guys have fleas. I mean, the whole point of them being the reason why they're available is they have fleas or they're prospects that got called up. It's rare that you're going to find the perfect passage. So Birdsong, whether it's Weathers, whether it's Ciccone, whether any of these Dobbins, any of these guys we're talking about, they all are C+ pitchers.
Even at this point in 12 teamers, you're picking up pitchers. You're not getting slam dunk easy starts with these either.
Yeah.
What about the last guy I want to talk about is Yu Darvish. He's kind of still available out there in some leagues if you want to stash him. Are you doing this at all? Do you trust this? I know that they're kind of trying to find a spot to put him back in. The last note on RotoWire was that he won't pitch in the series that begins Tuesday against Toronto, but he made a last rehab start on last Wednesday, so he's kind of like lingering out there, unclear what it's going to be. How do you feel about Darvish coming back here?
I feel like I have him in one league where I've held him all year, and that's really was kind of a mistake. But I hope I love him. But just as a player, I love watching him. I hope he does well. I don't need any more exposure. I mean, it could work. Certainly, we're talking about Slade Ciccone. We're talking about Logan Henderson. We're talking about JT Ginn. I mean, that he belongs in that class. I mean, there's an appropriate amount of risk, but I probably won't pick him up. I wouldn't pick him up this week because I couldn't use him this week. So I'd probably wait another week.
Does he go in the rotation for Vasquez or for Kolek?
Sure, either. Yes. I had someone argue to me the other day that Vasquez is a good pitcher. So you and you've made that point abundantly clear. You are the Vasquez hater in the universe of Vasquez.
I'm not. I just point out the fact that he was like, as of last week, he was the worst in walks and the worst in home run or worst in strikeouts in the entire majors.
Kolek appropriately, not surprisingly, got hit pretty well by Seattle.
I mean, we talked about it last week. We're like, it's not the guy we wanted after the 2 shutouts. It just wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
So Vasquez this week, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. So he did pitch better.
In our face,
I will give him that. Yeah. Yes, against the Angels too, who are red hot. Yeah. So maybe he'll turn around. But I think either is the answer there. Relievers. You and I talked a little bit about Jordan Romano when we were talking about Jose Alvarado and the PD suspension. I think he was very clearly the top bid if he was available in leagues. I mean, I know that we think that Philly will mix and match a little bit, but clearly he's pitching well lately. He was the guy. Were there any other relievers you wanted? Because I am having a lot of trouble, and there's a couple leagues I need some saves.
No,
they are not. They're not making themselves evident so far.
No, I would suggest Todd Zola on the XM show this morning. And we're on, by the way, 11 a.m. Eastern time, 8 a.m. Best Coast. If you guys want to tune in on Sunday
that's
morning.
Early Sunday morning. I like
it is. Sundays tends to be a little bit of a long day, but it's a great day. Also much sports. But he's on Luis May, Mey. Pay attention to him.
Yeah, because that's the guy we talked about a couple weeks ago that it was like 190 bid for him. We didn't really know who it was, and he's been really good since then.
Yeah, 12 Ks and 8 1/3. His strikeout rate's actually higher in the majors than it was in the minors. And he's been done better at limiting walks. It's something that's been a problem that's plagued him in the past. Even at AAA this year, 7 walks in 9 innings. May throws very hard. Average fastball is 99. He's topped 100 readily in his call up so far. I think in his first outing, he get like 103, like 4 different times. So he can throw. He should be on your radar for sure. Just Pagan's got the job right now. Got 3 consecutive saves this weekend against the Guardians. They play the Pirates tomorrow. Maybe May will get a save chance if Pagan really should not be available. So we'll see about that. But yeah, that's a deep league ad. The other team I'd pay attention to is the Cubs.
Yep. Who do you like anybody there right now?
No, I don't. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Porter Hodge, if he's available, but he's not.
I
think he will bounce back. But again, walks have always been a part of Porter Hodge's life. It's always been there. So the last thing you want to see from your pitcher trying to close out a game is him walking the leadoff batter.
I literally turn it off, Jeff. Unless it's a game I really want to watch. If my closer comes in and walks the first guy, I tend to just turn it off.
Never watch your closer, right?
Yeah. I definitely don't watch him if he walks the first guy, because those guys always come around to score. Daniel Palencia throws hard, but he's got walk issues also. He was 17% last year. He's double digits this year. Swinging strike is only 9%. Although he does have some strikeouts. His BABIP is 143, so he's been really lucky so far. Strand rate's 94%, so he's been fortunate. So maybe they go to him, but you're right. I kind of was in the same bucket. Like I have Ryan Preston league. I was looking to drop him. I don't think I did because didn't get the guy I wanted. But it's kind of a mess for a team that's good in first place. Their close situation is really all over the place.
So Todd was telling me. So Todd and Eric Halterman hosted our Saturday show on XM. And they had Sarah Sanchez on, and she mentioned Drew Pomerantz as a possibility. He has been pitching late in games. I have noticed that. And he's pitching well right now. Oldie but a goodie here. He's 36 years old. Last pitched in the majors in 2021 prior to this year. They're getting good work so far. I could see it. I have to squint, but I can see it.
I got to ask what this means. Someone in the chat said Porter Hodge is the Patrick Reed of closers. I don't even know what this is. Does he cheat? I don't know what that means.
Does everybody hate him?
Does everybody dislike him? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that means. That's a fascinating comparison that I can't figure out.
Yeah. I need Nick Whalen here. He's Mr. Cross-sport comparison. So
that's a tough one right there. That's you and I know a lot about golf and a lot about baseball. I can't piece that one together.
Yeah, it must be just a hate, like everybody hates him sort of thing. But
I guess so.
I don't hate Porter Hodge.
I didn't know Porter Hodge was so hated.
Yeah.
That's a fascinating one. Maybe he. I was thinking cheating, but I don't know. That's a good one.
Possibly.
Let's talk some hitter fab. Hitter fab was tough this week, but because
very challenging.
We've got like these guys, these big prospects that get called up this week, and earlier in the week I was like, wow, we might have a huge fab here. We might have Fab-a-Palooza all over again. We've got Jordan Lawler, we've got Dalton Rushing, and then the quotes come out from the managers. Jordan Lawler maybe starts 3 or 4 times a week. Dalton Rushing's going to start twice a week and not play any outfield, not DH. Obviously can't DH because Ohtani's there, but so he's just going to play when Will Smith doesn't play. Like Dalton Rushing's a stud prospect. We as a catcher, we'd really be bidding on him, but you can't bid a guy playing twice a week. You have to just hope that if you do it, are you just hoping that Will Smith gets hurt? Like I just don't know are you hoping that Dave Roberts changes his mind and plays in the outfield? But Edmonds back tonight. Teoscar's going to be back soon. Like I just don't know how this all works out. I love the player, but it just fantasy wise, I don't know if I can figure it out.
Well, let's start with Rushing here.
Okay.
And we'll go back to Lawler.
Okay.
But the thing that's different with Rushing than Jordan Lawler and Moises Ballesteros too, which should throw in this bucket, is he's up for good. They took away the safety net. They cut Austin Barnes.
Yep.
So Rushing's on the team. Theoretically for good. I mean, I guess you could pass Barnes through waivers and he could accept his assignment to AAA and call him back up again at some point in time.
I think Barnes is gone, but yeah.
I think he's gone too. Rushing has had hits already. He's 4 for 9 already. I don't know if he played today or not, but
he pinch hit. He was 0 for 1.
Yeah, and Smith hit a homer. And Will Smith is like leading the free world in on base, so he's good.
It's not like Will Smith's going to lose time, right? And they can't DH either.
They have somebody at DH. We've heard of him before. Bats lead off, something like that.
I just don't know. I don't know how it plays without Roberts changing his mind and putting him in the outfield, or Will Smith gets hurt.
Yeah, so I can even see if you're screwed at catcher in the main, the 15-team main. Taking two to 3 starts a week out of Rushing could be better than what you're using out there.
Yeah, that's fair.
You're starting Machete, Maldonado, or anything like that. You're going to go ahead and go with Dalton Rushing. You're going to take that instead. There are some really hella bad catchers out there, but there's some good catchers out there too.
Yep.
I told you my 3 catcher dilemma last week. It remains. I'm going to get this wrong a lot of times, but I can't cut Herrera. I can't cut Francisco Alvarez. I can't cut
Carson Kelly,
even though he's, he doesn't play every day, but
he's going to be, I think he'll be the cut eventually, but at the time we talked about it, you couldn't cut him.
No. And I still can. He's batting in the middle lineup in his DHing days. He doesn't catch sometimes
on a good team. Like it's just a good spot.
Yeah. And that's why I couldn't even bid on Ballesteros. I mean, I just couldn't. I don't see the path for a while there.
Rushing is 271, 26 bombs, 85 RBIs last year. I mean, he's really, really good last year in the minors. So he can really hit, but the playing is not going to be there. And is he going to be good playing twice a week too? Like it's hard to be a backup catcher in baseball and play twice a week. Like you talk about, it's just tough. So even if he's like his twice a week normally is better than anybody else's, I just don't know if it's hard to hit when you play twice a week.
Yep, it is. And that's why I didn't bid on him. I didn't bid on Rushing in any of my leagues so far.
And if you wanted him, you had to do it this week because there was someone in your league going to take him.
Yeah.
So it's a tough spot.
And even in other leagues where my catchers maybe aren't as strong, it's still like they're playing at least. I mean, that's the thing. Like, so as an example, I could, in one particular, in my 12 teamer, I'm not going to cut Augustine Ramirez. Nope. I'm not going to bench him, In Yogurt, I probably could have, I've got meh catchers. I've got Austin Wells and Joey Barton, and I have Dingler.
I like
my baby.
Dingler's been good.
Yeah, Dingler's the guy I need to be starting more over Joey Barton.
Although the strikeouts are coming on Dingler, they're starting to rise. So my guy was Dingler too. So it's good you brought him up. I was looking at Rushing and Drake Baldwin, and I decided to put in a bid for Baldwin. And I decided not to put in a bid for Rushing. I think I was going to take Baldwin over Dingler, but I was taking Dingler over Rushing at the moment. That might be a big mistake because Rushing is definitely a way better player, a way better hitter. I just don't know fantasy-wise how it's going to work the next couple months.
Yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky, and
some of the chats asked Drake Baldwin or Hunter Goodman. I would still take Hunter Goodman. Hunter Goodman's raking.
Drake Baldwin was available in my main event.
He was available. He was only like 30% rostered coming in because he wasn't playing very much, and now he and Murphy are kind of split in time. It seems like it's 50-50 right now.
And they're patting Baldwin second sometimes.
Yeah,
that's how much his bat skills are.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really I decided I actually lost Baldwin 24-24. That one pissed me off.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good sign that I'm ahead of that person in the league, but I wasn't taking any solace in that on May 18th.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Jordan Lawler then.
Yeah.
Lawler was called up, and I think we all got really excited. He was called up about 9 seconds after we finished the podcast last week. We literally logged off. The first thing I did was look at Twitter, and Jordan Lawler was
update, made it level 1, screaming to the world, hey, big news, huge news.
Obviously a massive prospect, a guy that if he played every day could be super fantasy relevant right away with the stolen bases. Obviously got some pop, hits for some average. He's hitting 340 in the minors, whatever it was, 330 something, but right up there, hitting the ball hard. But now he comes to the spot, and you kind of played it out perfectly. We talked about him on the podcast last week. You said there's no place for him to play. Like really isn't, and it's all good players, and it's all guys that you're probably not going to move aside. And it's kind of worked out that way. He's played, I think, maybe not even half the games, maybe 3 out of 7.
He started twice.
Twice. Okay, so even less than I thought.
They had a 7-game week this week, Scott. Yeah. And he started twice.
And didn't do anything. He had 9 plate appearances, doesn't have a hit yet, and he's got 5 strikeouts. But I mean, kind of who cares about that? But I just don't know how it's going to work. If someone gets hurt, again, you had to pick up Lawler this week if you wanted to do it. If someone gets hurt, he could be a fantasy. He can make it be a difference maker. But
Yeah.
It's hard to do it right now.
Yeah. And the other problem too, is it's just, you look at who's there and and Lawler's defense is even that great. And there's an interesting quote. Nick Pecora broke the story on Sunday night last week.
Yep.
And it wasn't even a quote. It was paraphrasing. He said something to the fact that he asked Torey Lovullo about the playing time and something like, if he plays four games a week, will his growth be stunted or something? Yep. Development be stunted. And he said that he didn't think that, or he said that Lovullo thought that if he played 4 games a week, his development wouldn't be stunted. There was never a direct quote saying he will play 4 games a week. And we all kind of saw the little comment in the storyline and extrapolated to say he will play 4 games a week. It's,
by the way, which is not great, but better than it has been.
Right. And it's just why you have to read these stories carefully.
Yeah.
Is more my point. And there was nothing wrong with the reporting. I want to make it clear. Nick's one of the best beat writers out there, actually, but you got to really parse it closely. It's like taking a logic course, and a lot of us took a logic course in college and all that. It's philosophy. It's it's structure. It's all that, and it helps you point out, okay, what are they really truly saying? And that was the case there. Then it was, and so kind of stayed away from Lawler. Wasn't available in my main again, but in other leagues he probably was available. I didn't get him anywhere.
Yeah, he was available in a good chunk of it. He's available in all of mine, but I just didn't know. I was like, my bids were like in the 20s. Like I just, I was never going to get him. He went for, he was picked up in 32 main events, anywhere between, I guess there were some low bids. Went for $3 and won, but most of them was kind of in the 40, 50, 60, went up to about 111. I think it kind of showed that everybody was a little hesitant on the job. I think we all like the player, but we're playing fantasy right here, and it's hard to know. It's hard. You can't start him right now. You're kind of picking him up to stash him, but he's in the majors. It's tough.
Yep. And a couple of things too. I mean, it's, he could be a league winner. He could be that talented.
He's a difference maker if someone gets hurt or they decide they don't want to play somebody. But these are all, I mean, we talked about Perdomo. Like you can't.
How do you bench Perdomo? You can't bench Perdomo.
Great.
You're not going to bench Marte.
Great defensively, hitting 300 and has a 402 on base percentage. Jeff, it's not like Perdomo's just like, this defender that's not. He has 400 on base percentage. Like you can't.
And they paid him this in spring training too. Yeah. So there's no way. Suarez, okay, he's hitting 220. Fine, he's terrible. He's slugging 524. He's got 14 homers. They're not taking him out.
No.
They're not taking Josh Naylor out. They're not. Maybe Pavin Smith starts to slump more, and they decide.
But even then, they're not just sitting him they're not going to sit him against all these right-handers either. It's just, I mean, it's a good problem to have for Arizona, and maybe it works out for them. But fantasy-wise, it's just, and that's what we're talking here. I found it really tough. I really wanted to grab him because I need stolen bases badly in a couple leagues, and I couldn't get that on him.
Yeah, I think the one player to watch is actually left field. Is Lourdes Gurriel. He's off to a pretty bad start. Point. That could be the linchpin. Okay, we'll play Smith in the outfield, or we'll play Lawler in the outfield. We'll teach him how to play outfield. By the way, that'd be his 4th position this year too. So good luck. You know how I rail against that with prospects. So the Nick Senzel treatment there.
But at that point, at least you could move around. You could have Suarez DH some days. You could have Naylor DH a couple times. Like you can just move guys around at that point. You let Cattell DH once a week. That's not going to hurt him at all. But someone they have to give up on someone, or someone has to get hurt for it to work.
Yeah. If Lawler got called up Friday night instead of Sunday night, the bids would have been in triple digits.
All across the board because we wouldn't have known about the play. Yeah, you're right. That's a good point.
It would maybe be higher than Kurtz. And instead we saw a whole week of him not playing or not playing well when he did play, and like, oh, okay, whatever. Yep. So it was pretty modest bids this week.
Are you old enough to remember Lawler's Law?
Of course I was. First 100 wins.
I love it.
I first moved to LA, and we had what was called the Roto Room back at Broadband Sports, and God, Bill Walton and Ralph Lawler doing Clippers games.
That's great.
When you're working late nights and you're a single guy in LA and you know nobody, well, at least you have sports to entertain you. Lawler's Law and Bill Walton doing games together.
For a 5-second space, Ralph Lawler was the Clippers play-by-play guy, and he had Lawler's Law was the first team to 100 wins, and whoever got to 100, they would break into Lawler's Law. It was pretty awesome.
Yep. And
then good times there.
The Polish rifle, Eric Piatowski.
Eric Piatowski can ball. I like his. He had a pretty shot.
Keith Kloss. There's no tougher big man in the NBA than Keith Kloss.
I love it. Oh, it's so good.
Oh my God, that was great.
You mentioned Moises Ballesteros with the Cubs. Got the call up. And this dude can hit. He does not strike out either. Really good strikeout numbers. Almost almost every year under 20% in the minors. Again, he's up. I think he's kind of taken Ian Happ's spot where he's hitting. He's DHing a little bit. He's a catcher. We've mentioned before that the Cubs have a lot of catchers. They've got Carson Kelly and Miguel Amaya, both good catchers. What'd you do with Ballesteros? It seems like he's probably got like a decent runway, but a short runway. He's probably going to go back down, but he's probably got like a couple weeks here. He might play a bunch.
I did not bid on him because I think he's even in a more crowded situation than Lawler even. Immediate. He's got a runway, but
immediate runway, but it's not like he's got to go back down pretty quick
because the Cubs have 2 functional catchers and they have Happ coming back and they have 3 good outfielders. So there's just no spot. I
really like the profile I looked at. He seems like a really fun guy, but I just didn't think. I think he's going back down.
I do too.
Yeah. Other guys here. Will Benson, Cincinnati Reds. Reds. Will Benson with 5 homers last 4 games. If I'm doing the math right, something like that. Mm-hmm. Is this someone who 2 years ago was 11 home runs, 19 stolen bases, hit 275? Granted, the BABIP was really high that year, but he's a guy with some talent. He famously had that walk-off home run where he screamed in the dugout. It was one of my favorite walk-off homers a couple years ago. But
that was the peak of our Reds. Yes,
it was beautiful. But really bad last year. Hit a .187, struck out 40% of the time. That's not a typo. 39.7% strikeout rate. He's back down to 31 this year so far. Massive hard hit numbers so far. Massive barrel rate. Clearly a very toolsy, talented guy. But, even last year he hit 187. His on base was 274. Horrible, but he still was 14 home runs, 16 stolen bases. Like, still brought the speed and power. If he can just get on base at all, this is a guy who has a ton of talent, but obviously the downside is hitting 187 as we saw last year.
He's a left-handed Willie Mopena. Fun to watch, but I don't know if it's tough to get on board when your AAA K percentage is 29%. That usually is like 38% in the major, something like that. So, we're hurting for power in my main event, really hurting for power.
And plays in a great park, and he's going to play against all righties for a while here. And
no, he's not. That's the problem.
Oh, okay.
This week, the Reds face 3 lefties out of 6.
I meant he's going to play against all righties, though, right?
Okay, the Reds are not playing. Yes, he will start against whenever the Reds face a righty.
He's going to sit 3 times this week. You're right.
Yeah. So and it's on the road for the first half of the week, and I need immediate help, like literally immediate help. So
it's funny you said I pulled back my bids after I saw that they placed. I think they get Heaney and I forget who else, but they get 3 lefties this week.
Bailey, the guys
Bailey Falter.
Bailey Falter. Very poor name for a pitcher. But not quite as bad as Homer Bailey or Bob Walker.
Grant Balfour.
Yeah. There was another one too. There's just like all these ones that are just poorly named pitchers. But
does Benson have a chance to stick if he plays okay, or is it going to be like once Jake Fraley comes up, he's gone? But you look at the Reds bench, and it's bad. I'm sorry, I don't mean to say that about our Reds, but there's just
look at the lineup and it's bad. I know they won 3 games this weekend, but dude, we need to talk about Ellie. By the way,
all right, please do.
Did you know what his ground ball rate was coming into today?
I did not. You're gonna have to tell me.
It's not good. Ground ball percentage was 59% going into
gosh.
today.
I'm just looking at that now. You know what's weird about that is he's hitting no line drives.
No,
his fly balls are kind of the same. It's just line drives that are way down.
Yeah, and they're trying to they were trying to change his approach. I heard this on the broadcast the other day. I'm like, why? What are you messing with this?
So that's like when Cody Bellinger won the MVP and they tried to change his swing.
Yeah, I just don't. Why? Don't. He's got a 739 OPS. He's got 8 homers now. He could still get hot. It could happen, but it's not materially cutting down on strikeouts. It went from like 31 to 29%. It's still a high strikeout rate. He's just not getting the quality of contact. You're making him less fun. Why? Why are you messing with him? Anyways.
Yeah, you look at most of his numbers; they're pretty similar to last year. The BABIP's down, which is probably, but his batting average is still around the same. LBP is down a little bit, but you're right. The slugging is the thing is down. It's the home runs. It's the power that's down a little bit.
Yeah. By the way, Michael C. credit for remembering it. Blew it. The worst name for a reliever ever.
That is a great one right there.
Yeah.
Our friend Anthony Gialdi weighed in. Ellie will heat up. Be patient. I think he'll heat up too. But your point stands. I don't think we want to change this guy.
Yeah. Really, really frustrating me. And McLean's having a terrible year too. It's so funny. They're coming on. I can't complain too much. They have a 3-game. They swept the Guardians. It was a good weekend. But
they won 4 in a row, right?
They also lost 2 out of 3 to the White Sox. They won the last game of that game.
That's a bad feeling when you have to play a third game to not get swept by Chicago.
Yeah, it's just not the funsies lineup that we thought. They need Marte back. They need a CES, a healthy version of CES. They need Spencer Steer to resemble anything of the last 2 years. Gavin Lux having maybe more than one homer would be nice.
Well, every time I look, he's out. I'm like, oh, he's got 2 hits. He's doing really well. He's hitting 290. Then I look, 1 home run and 1 steal. That's fantasy wise. That's really tough to play a guy that does neither of those things.
Yeah, it's very empty. It's very empty.
And Tyler Stevenson, I mean, he just came back, but he's not doing anything either. I think you got to give him some time. He's hitting the ball hard. He's only played 13 games, but this is gonna be a team in the summer. Right? You got to think that the lineup comes around a little bit, right?
Yep. I mean, they've got Reese Hines with the homer or nothing approach up the team again. The fact that they called up Benson and Hines, that tells you where they're at right now.
Yeah. I have a soft spot for Will Benson. I don't know what it is, but 2 years ago he did really well for me, so I think it's probably that. But I was in on him a little bit. But the guy that I liked right kind of behind him in a lot of lists you saw when you're looking, we're kind of reading Fab articles and stuff. Matthew Lugo in Anaheim. Playing a lot of center field for the Angels, playing almost every day. There's somebody look at his minor league numbers last year: 17 home runs, 16 stolen bases, strikeout rate in the kind of the low 20s. Something that's going to go up in the majors, but at least you can work with that. Hit 287. This is someone I was interested in. I think that the playing time right there, right now is there. I know Trout's coming back at some point, but it's not like they're so married to someone like Joe Adell that if Lugo keeps playing well, they can't keep using him. I was in on Lugo. He was the outfielder that I ended up adding the most.
He was in our waterfall. Maybe I should have been more in on him, but yeah, he is playing. I worry what happens when Trout eventually returns.
I think I'm just never hold my breath that it actually happens, but
fair point.
And Luis Rengifo's been horrible, so maybe DH opens up a little bit. He can also play second base, and they get Tim Anderson out of there. Like, there's ways the Angels have enough, and Kyron Paris is kind of out of the rotation fully. You can tell by watching basketball out of the rotation, but I think there's enough spots here where just because Trout comes back doesn't mean Lugo's automatically out, I guess is my point.
Yep. We got him in a trade with the Red Sox. He was a second-round pick in 2019. Yeah, I mean, I can see it. I can see it. I really wasn't in on him. Now look at James Anderson has him at pick like prospect number 164. Oh, okay. That's my attention.
It's like 3 or 4 years where he was almost like a 15-20 guy. So I was really looking for stolen bases this week, and Ron Washington lets guys run too. So I think that's a pretty good team setup. I liked it. I probably maybe I just watched too much of the Dodgers series this weekend that I got in on the Angels, but I was definitely in on Lugo. He was the one that he was the outfielder I ended up with getting a bunch of.
I can see it.
Yeah. Anybody else you liked on offense? We talked about the A's and their setup this week with 7 home games. I think that if Miguel Andujar or Luis Arias was available, I think that those are really good bats to get this week. I think Andujar is third base eligible now too. He's playing almost every day. He's kind of taken over that spot just because he's been hitting it. He hits fourth some nights, and that's a pretty good spot. Now, a lot of the A's can't pitch, but they can hit pretty well. It's a pretty good spot to be in.
Yep. Our pickup in the main was Otto Lopez.
I wanted to bring him up. I really liked that one. He was sneaky too, because when he sorted by at bats, he had 0 at bats this week, and he just came back today.
Yep.
I really liked him at draft season. He got hurt. I really like that pick.
Yeah, and we wanted either a middle or an outfielder, and we could move things around. He credit to Tim Schuler, he spotted that one on there, and he was our second choice. Miguel Vargas was actually available, and we're a little light on power, and he's third in outfield eligible.
He had a great week.
Yeah, so we might have missed his best week. We had Ramon Laureano in our waterfall.
I like that. I like that one too. He's playing like 3 of every 4 games.
7 games this week coming up. They just put Tyler O'Neill on the IL, so he might play every game. We had Lugo there. We had Tyler Fitzgerald there also, and Chase Madroth. We're all kind of like guys that we're contending for, and Benson was below those guys because of the 3 lefties.
Okay, yeah, I had Benson above those guys, but I really like the Otto Lopez ad. That was my favorite one. Someone Spellspore in the chat mentioned someone in his main got rushing for 201 and dropped Miguel Vargas to do it. That's something right there. I guess they got the best Miguel Vargas week and punted it. Someone was asking in the chat about Jake Cronenworth. I had Jake Cronenworth last week. I drafted him in the main event and held him. So I'm a Jake Cronenworth guy. 17 home runs, 83 RBIs last year. He's someone that's going to never be huge, but kind of always solid. What I really liked with him draft season wise was the first base and second base eligibility. you cover corner and you cover middle with one guy like that. And he kind of hits in the middle of a really good lineup at all points. So I like Cronenworth as someone
up in my 12.
Yeah.
I finally dropped my Ryan Mountcastle. So achievement unlocked.
There you go.
And
never gonna hit 30 home runs, Cronenworth, but just in that lineup, you get 70 runs and 80 RBIs. That's worth something right there. And you get 15 homers, a few steals. I like Cronenworth.
Yeah, and the thing is also that I needed a middle infielder, another team where I had Xavier Edwards, so I needed to pick up a middle. So Cronenworth was the top of my list of middles to go after, so worked out.
Last thing I want to talk before we get out of here, we kind of mentioned it earlier. Pete Crow-Armstrong is having an insane year. He's 12 home runs, 14 stolen bases. He had 2 more extra base hits. He had 27 extra base hits on the year. If we're drafting tomorrow, and Jeff, you and I are drafting the league tomorrow.
You're in that. Good. I didn't know if you're going to be in that.
I am. I'm playing in a golf charity event tomorrow, so I don't know if I'm going to make it in time. I told the commissioner I might have to go on auto, but we'll see. But where's Pico Armstrong going to league that's drafting tomorrow? Final question.
Man, that's a good question.
Are we talking?
How many teams are in the league? We'll say, let's just speculate. Let's just stipulate 12.
That was always 14 or 16.
Okay, let's say we'll stipulate 14.
Does he go in the first round?
I think he goes early second, but I don't really have a working list yet either.
I don't
need
either.
For said draft.
I don't either. I think he goes in the first round.
He could.
Especially in a league like that, someone's going to want to take him, right?
He has what we like to call category juice.
He's raking right now. He's hitting 280. He's hitting 290 now. Strikeouts are in a good spot. He doesn't walk at all, but barrel rate's up to 14%. I don't know. After like the first 6, 7, 8 guys in a draft, I think he kind of comes up in that group after that first team. Maybe he's in the second. He might be second round, but it's definitely not later than like pick 20 or 21, something like that.
Yeah. I agree. I don't even know what spot I'm drafting. I have to think about that. And I have to I have to go somewhere after that draft. So I'm like, I've got so many things going on there too. Yeah. It's going to be fun though. It's always fun to do changing values, like reshuffle.
I think everybody just kind of goes in and drafts like off the top of their head a little bit, like just off the list. I mean, there's not a lot of prep that goes into this. So it's kind of, it's always fun that you just kind of, it's always the guys like Pete Armstrong, the guys that are rising right now. And the guys that are struggling, first rounders, the guys like that aren't doing well, that he's always curious where they go. Like, where does Yoran Alvarez get taken in a draft like that?
Pipe down. I don't even want to talk about him. I will take Tatis over Alvarez. I promise. I swear. Oh,
the wild thing is the 1 and 2 have not changed at all. Ohtani and Witt are very clear the 1 and 2 in every league, right?
Are you sure about that?
Do you think Judge? Oh, Judge, you're right. Yeah, shit. I forgot about the guy whose OPS is 150 points higher than anybody else in the league. I take it back. Ohtani, Judge, Witt. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. The top 3 are still the top 3. Your order may differ.
Yes. You're right. I just I blanked on that one. But yeah, no, it's got to be. You're right. Got to be Ohtani, Judge, Witt, top 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Judge was third, so Judge it's still the same top 3. But it's pretty wild that you usually don't get many years with the top 3 is the top 3. Where's Ronald Acuna go in that draft?
I don't know. That's actually a fantastic question.
Back next week, maybe.
How much does he run? We still don't know. Has he run at all on his rehab assignment? Have you been?
I saw he hit a bomb in the first at bat or the first game.
Would they even let him run on his rehab assignment? I doubt it.
Like, I think you just kind of time to first base, right?
Yeah, I don't even know if they let him leg out a double.
Yeah, really? First base coach holds on every ball.
Jog. I said jog, damn it.
Yeah. Station to station is like absolute key in that situation.
He has a homer at each level. He does have 1 double so far, and he's played 4 games going into today. So no, he has not attempted a stolen base.
A couple people weighed in on Corbin Carroll. I think Corbin Carroll's probably 4th right now too, right? I mean, he's been awesome.
Been awesome. Tucker's been awesome.
Tucker's probably 5th. And Scooble's probably the first pitcher, right? And then it's probably Scooble Skeens 1, 2.
Does it remain? Probably.
Yeah, probably does, right?
Pretty close. According to
Garrett Cole probably goes later than I took him.
How much earlier does Hunter Brown go?
Oh, a lot earlier. He's
probably
a top 10 starter, right?
I think top 5, dude.
Yeah, you might. I have to look at a list again, but yeah, you're probably not far off that. I mean, it's behind Scooble, Skeens, Wheeler.
Yeah.
Crochet. Then you're probably getting pretty close right there, right?
I think, and yeah, I mean, let's face it, Skeens never wins. because his team is an abomination.
By the way, you know who's awesome? And speaking of that, is Logan Webb. I love Logan Webb.
You know who I love? Nathan Eovaldi. I love me some Nathan Eovaldi. It's single-handedly saving our ass.
He walks nobody. It's crazy.
Yeah, I love me some Nathan Eovaldi.
Well, that'll be fun. We'll talk about that next week. We'll talk about where those guys go. It's always a wild draft, but should be fun. But Jeff, thanks for joining as always. If you can please rate review the podcast, we do appreciate that as well. Other than that, we're back at you next Sunday night. Hope everybody has a really good week, a good fantasy week. Take care. We'll talk with you then.
Thanks, everybody.